Hello everybody and welcome back to QuipScope. This is the show where we talk about a new game that has recently come out or is coming out very soon. My name is Peter.
And my name is Ben.
Ben, we've worked with lots of people over the years, haven't we?
We have.
And slowly we've whittled down the team to just me and you. In fact, you might say that we are the last of us.
You might, but please nobody read into that. We haven't actively struck anyone off.
No, Jesus,
point.
no. It's not a good look, PR-wise. They left us. We're that repulsive.
Yeah, they left us. They didn't even want us. Peter, before we go any further, we'd like to clarify for people watching at home, the footage you're seeing is not my own capture. I didn't want to show the first couple of hours of the game. This is just the footage from the State of Play event a few weeks ago. It's already out there in the wild. Also, I will not be talking story stuff or spoilers. I'm just going to be talking generally about the first 2 hours of the game.
Okay. So, if you hadn't already worked it out, we're here to talk about The Last of Us Part 2. Ben has played, as he says, the first couple of hours. Ben, just to start off, general first impressions. Are you pleased? Are you disappointed? Are you indifferent?
I am extremely pleased. Extremely pleased. And this was me exhausted at midnight playing it until about 2 a.m. And all the way through, I thought, man, this is just so good. It's just so good. Immediately, I was struck by the accessibility options, which a lot of people have heard about by now.
Yeah.
It starts off walking you through several simple steps of, do you want this on? Do you want this off? How do you want this done? Would you like this? And then when you get to the main menu, which again, is beautifully minimalist, just like the last one, you can go into the options, and good lord, there's a lot of options in there. There are about 12 different combinations of subtitle options. You can have it say the name of who's speaking. You can change it so that there's when it says who's speaking, they've got a certain color attached as well, so it's easier to distinguish that it's a different person talking. You can change the color of the subtitles as well. There's so much you can do to tweak things. You can put a little black background behind the subtitles. You can make them bigger and smaller. All games should have this because I like having subtitles, especially if I'm going to stream the game as well. People like to have subtitles on. It just makes it easier to have different options. So immediately, that's impressive. Then, and again, not talking about any story stuff, it just starts and just immediately wraps you up in what's going on, and you get caught up and you jump straight into it and you just start playing immediately, and it's oh god, it's just, I couldn't really get over how far Naughty Dog have come, even in the past sort of 7 years since The Last of Us came out, in terms of performance capture. Because Uncharted 4 looked really good, and this is a step beyond that. All sort of subtle facial animations and acting is captured, and it's eerily lifelike in a lot of ways. And we're not even talking about the gameplay yet. Just the performances alone are already incredible and captured phenomenally. And it's just a gorgeous looking game, so much so that I forgot that this is PS4 and not PS5, because we've seen so much PS5 recently that it feels and looks like a PS5 game. And it hasn't made my PS4 Pro sound like it's about to take off and shoot out of the roof, which is what Call of Duty Warzone does. So, again, kudos to Naughty Dog for just clearly on a fundamental mechanical level making a game that's just really well made.
No, I've heard about those accessibility options. I saw a screenshot, and I don't know if this is something that they present to you right at the start or if it's hidden deeper within the accessibility menus. But I saw a screenshot of it was just they basically, it almost looked like the VR missions from Metal Gear Solid, in that the whole world had just sort of been coloured blue, and your character, I think, was like green or something, and then it showed enemies up as red. And that's for like people who obviously have visual impairments and might struggle to kind of discern much darker, murkier shots of rooms, and it just lights up in like bold color-coded form the models and the how to distinguish between models and environments, and that I've never seen before. It looks like super hot or something,
Yeah.
And that is the kind of accessibility we should be striving for, because people are getting left out of experiences like this, and you can of course still enjoy. You should be able to still enjoy an excellent narrative like The Last of Us, even if it's by default presented in a way that it might be difficult for you to see. So it's great that those things are in there. And also, I love subtitles. I have them on all the time, because sometimes you miss tiny little things that are being said way over in the distance, and it shows them on the bottom of the screen, and you're like, oh, a little bit of extra lore there or whatever,
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why I have them on in games specifically. I tend to have them on because sometimes, especially when people are acting, they sort of mutter things under their breath, and you might just miss it. And in games that require heavily on lore, like fantasy games and especially RPGs and so on, there's a lot of terminology that you can mishear or misunderstand. And so subtitles are really important, and having so many options is greatly appreciated. Also, fully customizable control scheme. The Last of Us 1 came under fire, and I think has aged not so well in one specific way, and that's its controls, in that they're weird. They're weird controls, and I spent ages exhaustively going through making it like a standard FPS control scheme. And I know it's not an FPS, but L2 to aim, R2 to shoot, which it is already, but square to reload, and R3 to melee, and L3 to sprint. But the way that they have made the game, a lot of those buttons are already tied together, so you'll often be holding L1 to just jog through an area during a narrative bit and so on, and you can't really. It's not comfortable to hold L3, and in the same sense, it's not comfortable to mash R3 to like get an enemy off you or whatever. So in the end, I ended up just reverting back to the standard control scheme and embracing it. But it doesn't feel weird to play. It does a great job of introducing you to all the controls again. I only played The Last of Us 1 a couple of months ago, just to refamiliarize myself. So it might have come to me perhaps a little easier than it will for other people. But it's simple enough when you get used to it, and it frequently prompts you for a good way into the game and reminds you of how it all works. So. Accessibility-wise, outstanding. I had not seen any infected or clickers because I've been avoiding trailers, and I have seen them in game. I clarify.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant you'd not encountered any yet in 2 hours.
No, I definitely have, and man, they're a lot scarier than they were. They're nasty. I've come across a couple of lady clickers. Peter, guess what?
What?
They've got nipples.
Oh, what?
Now,
That's illegal, isn't it?
TripleJump vehemently against nipples. I don't think
female nipples specifically.
I don't think anyone should have them. I'm sort of a hard right winger on nipples. I don't think anybody should have nipples. Nipples are disgusting. People should be ashamed. They are. People should be ashamed of them. But I thought it's an important thing to recognize. The Last of Us Part 2. If you want to protest about something, clicker nipples.
Clicker nipples.
Clicker nipples. Just so everyone's aware. Obviously, this game is extremely adult rated, and again, like the quality of the writing on show so far has been amazing, and then tied with the brilliant acting as well. It just feels very adult. It feels very real. The characters, you understand their motivations, and it's just nobody does this better than Naughty Dog. Nobody. And oh god, all the upgrade mechanics are still in there from the last game. You can find scraps and pick up materials to craft things on the fly. You find the pills to upgrade certain skills so you can listen further and sneak around and so on. I haven't had any issues so far. I'm playing it on sort of the difficulty bang in the middle. And there are 5 difficulties in total. And and then you've got the accessibility options beyond that if you want to tweak certain things to your preferences, which I may well do for further playthroughs, perhaps for trophy runs and stuff. It's nice to know that there are options that might make the game not that it would be a chore, but a little less of a chore if I'm just going through for collectibles, for example. Where I can still experience it and not have to worry too much about getting bogged down with dying a lot. But I'm 2 hours in. The story is just starting to really ramp up to something, and I know I'm just scratching the surface. Like, this is just the beginning. This game's 25 to 30 hours long, and I'm smelling the roses as well. You know, I'm doing that typical The Last of Us thing where you hold forwards and just steer with the camera so you're walking against the walls of each room just in case a button prompt appears to like interact with something or have a conversation with someone or anything like that. It's everything I was hoping for, and again, like, I'm really not that far yet. It's just a really, really prettier version of the original Last of Us, but with all the benefit of the last 7 years of game development progress.
You're right that how is it that Naughty Dog are as good as they are, and there's so many other studios that don't really seem to hold a candle to them? Like, how can there be one company that produces almost flawless games, or certainly has done for the past few years? You know, how is that happening? It's great that you know, we've got companies like Naughty Dog out there doing amazing things, but I guess it's taken them a long time to put this together. Maybe it's just that they take their time more. They don't put sequels out every year or 2 years. But God, I'm so excited to play this, and you know, I'm not really going to be able to until I go back to Newcastle. So I don't know if that'll be in a week or 5 weeks or what. So I'm going to have to be careful, keep clear of the comments and social media where I can, and live chat. You guys should do that too if you're listening at home, watching at home. You need to just be a little bit careful, because there's some real poopers out there doing horrible things, spoiling things. I've seen a spoiler, which I didn't want to see.
Yeah, I saw one too, and I've been avoiding all that kind of stuff as best as I can, not watching trailers, and then the day before it comes out, someone pops into our live chat, posts a spoiler, and then just disappears, and it's like, oh, for God's sake. So we wholeheartedly recommend you probably avoid the comment section of this video. It's highly likely, actually, that this video gets a fairly healthy dislike bar, because there's a real brigade of people out there at the moment, trolls, really, who have just got such a bee in their bonnet about The Last of Us. They hate it. They hate the fact that there's a canonically gay character who's openly gay. They hate Naughty Dog. Seemingly there's just this vendetta against this game just by virtue of it having a lot of hype behind it, and the first one being rightfully recognized as one of the greatest games ever. Like one of the most important narrative games ever created, and people hate that. And so they're going around and ruining it for everyone else. So please be careful. We're doing our best here by not showing gameplay footage, or at least not showing gameplay footage from the start of the game. This is, as we said, this is footage that already exists online. If you want to see some actual footage, at the time of release, I will be streaming it tonight, and the VOD will be on the VOD's channel on Monday. But just do be careful if you don't want spoilers, because it's going to be really hard. And if you do want to play it as soon as you can. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ben, for your initial spoiler-free thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2. Everyone's so excited. I bet you're excited to go and play some more whenever you can. Obviously, you're streaming tonight at time of recording, but wow, that'll be your weekend, I'm sure.
Yes.
Just done.
Yep.
Very good. Well, stick with the channel over the next few weeks and months as we continue to bring you our first impressions of new releases. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and do all of those good things, which leaves just enough time for The Last of Us Part 2. More like the Last of Us Fart 2.
Whoa.
As in because the reason I said that is because it's like, because you know how two negatives makes a positive?
Yes.
If you multiply two, if you multiply two farts together, it makes, like you say, you're smelling the roses. It's great.
Wow.
The best ones are where you have to explain.
Yeah, I think so too. The convoluted ones. I think. How about The Last of Us Part 2? More like The Last of Us Party Poopers, if you're talking about the spoiler brigade. That is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last of Us Part 2. How about more like The Last of Us Part 2 Good?
Oh, whoa. Jeez. Well, The Last of Us Part 2. Well, The Last of Us Part 2 hours played by Ben Potter, and we'll see how the rest of it is. Maybe it gets really bad after this point.
Love it. Is that all hyphenated?
Yeah, it is.
Good. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm not going to top that. That's excellent.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Bye, everybody.
Well, see you later.